I have Lottie on here. Lottie, it is good to see that you left a review here. Thank you so much. John, appreciate your review. John's the next review on here, and I really appreciate that. Also, my buddy Jeff Mendelson left a review here. Jeff is not an architect, but he's a buddy of mine that also runs a podcast show. And then last but definitely not least, Jeff Eccles, my good friend at Renovati on Twitter. Thank you for leaving your thoughts on the business of architecture. Now, for the next two episodes, you'll be hearing from Aurora Miniguelo. She's the marketing manager of Noveg. They're an online software store exclusively for design professionals. Now, this isn't a paid endorsement. She didn't coerce me to bring her here on the show, but I'm happy to say if you're shopping for new software in the architecture niche, go ahead, check out Noveg, noveg.com. Now, I reached out to Aurora because she's been doing some great things through social media and blogging, and I wanted to bring her on the show to share her knowledge with us and experience about how we as architects can implement and learn from what she's learned about spreading the message of Noveg. So without further ado, here's the show. Hey, welcome back, Agile Architects, to the Business of Architecture show. Today we have the awesome opportunity to have Aurora Miniguelo with us. So hey there, Aurora.
Hi, how are you, everybody? Hi, Enoch.
Yeah, good to have you on. So Aurora is she's the marketing manager for Noveg, who's the leading online reseller of software for design professionals. So in other words, if you want to get your any design software, whether it's CAD, Rhino, Revit, Noveg has it on their online store. Is that a good summary of what your company does, Aurora?
Perfect, yes.
Awesome. Well, I reached out to Aurora as marketing manager because I've just noticed online in the online space that what she's doing seems to be effective, and I really like the way she's reaching out to promote the Noveg brand. And since she interfaces with a lot of architects and designers, I thought what an excellent opportunity to get her on the show and talk about her perspective, both in dealing with architects and also an outside perspective of marketing for architects.
Thank you, Enoch. Thank you for having me here.
Well, it's a pleasure. And we did have a Google Hangout a little while ago that went really well on social media for architects. So I thought I would I thought I had to get you back, Aurora. I thought that I had to bring you on, put you in the hot
Fair
seat.
enough.
There you go.
Yeah, it was great to have you on board of the Google Hangout. I learned all the time talking to other marketing professionals.
And so did I, and anyone who wants to go look at that, they can find it on Noveg's blog. And if you just do a Google search, I think, for Noveg blog, you can find that there's some other good marketing resources on there. But in that particular conversation, we talked about social media for architects.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Well, Aurora, let's step back a little bit. We know that right now you're the marketing manager at Noveg. I want to go back in time a little bit and talk about, your process of learning about marketing and some of the things you learned, and then tell us, what you think could apply to what architects do in terms of promoting their work and their practices.
Sure. So I have quite an orthodox start in marketing. My background is in filmmaking and photography, and so I learned marketing because I wanted to promote my art and what I was doing. I made a documentary film and a short documentary film, and that was the first time I was exposed to marketing in a way that resonated with me. Kyle McCarthy volunteered with us. It was like a volunteer project, and he had experienced marketing to Generation Y online. Facebook pages had just started recently, and Twitter was very new. And I had never really thought of marketing. For me, marketing was one of those words, like sort of with business, like the money people, that kind of stuff. And when Kyle came on board our movie, like what he really exposed me to is marketing as a form of building community and connecting with people that think like you and exposing people to ideas that resonate with them. And it was amazing. It was an amazing experience for me.
Can I pause
And
you right there, Aurora?
yeah.
Just because you said something very interesting, and I want to stop and get into that. You said that as an artist, you had maybe some prejudices against marketing, or you had this perception of what marketing was.
Yeah, let me say more. I went to art school, so um one of the in my art school, money was like the bad word, right? Like you never talked about making money or promoting your work or anything like that. Well, you talked a little bit about promoting your work, but as an artist, right? So never with like the intent of selling. And so marketing to me was like a way to manipulate people. That's what sounded to me. Um, and until I actually started doing it, and I was exposed to particularly the writing of Seth Godin, who's like one of the bloggers I read every day religiously. It shifted then, because then marketing became, you never lie in marketing. Marketing is not about lying, and it's not about manipulating people into doing anything, so you can leave that idea out the door right now, because one of the fundamental, for me, like principles of marketing and being a marketer is that you don't lie. You connect with people and you share ideas and you build community just like a normal human being, and that's what I do in my job. That's what I started to do as a marketer.
Why do you think artists, and I know architects sort of have a similar bias a lot of times, are sort of, I guess, this negative perception of marketing and business in general? Do you have any idea where that sort of comes from, or your personal opinion?
That's $1 million question. I read a lot of things. I think it's long history. It's sort of one of those perpetuating myths, but I'll tell you something. Not a lot of people know this, but Leonardo da Vinci, some Italian, so I'll bring up Leonardo da Vinci, he was making money designing weapons. So here's the thing. You can either make money with another job, doing something that you might not even find ethical, or you can make money doing your art and doing something good. So that is the big thing for me that shifted as an artist, that I was like, I'm going to learn, marketing and sales and business, because I was like, I can decide to spend my time having another job that I don't like, so then I can go back home and make my art, or I can decide to, learn how to make money with what I love to do that actually might have an impact in the world. So that's how it shifted for me. You can look at hundreds of years of history for why we have this bad idea about art. I don't know.
Okay. Well, then let's go back to the documentary. So I appreciate the answer. It's a very interesting rabbit hole, so to speak, about the whole conflict between art versus money and promotion. So let's take it back. I interrupted your story. Pick it up and tell us about how you started to see the other side of marketing and see it as a benefit.
So at the same time that I was making my movie, I had my business as a wedding photographer. And I also had a business partnership with other wedding professionals. And we were doing as a group weddings, green weddings. I really got more and more into marketing and branding that way. And I started to geek out. Like, I was reading everything and learning so much. And it was like very unconscious on my part. And at a certain point, I noticed that I would go to meetings with my business partners and be like, I read this book, and how about, and everybody was like, oh yeah, okay. They were not as quite enthusiastic. And it dawned on me that I had a real passion for this, and it was a lot of like storytelling and a lot of creativity and a lot of what I like to do in art. And this could be like my art form or what I do. And so I switched careers. And I went to work with Noveg, that works with artists, and is a great match for me. And it was very seamless. I think from the outside seemed a big shift, but from the inside, it was years in the making of just me finding another outlet for what I was doing already.
Fascinating. Tell me one of the 2 or 3 big ahas you had when you when you started learning about marketing.
Okay. So the one thing is so much that is about communication. I really was drawn to art and film and photography because it's about communicating with other people and sort of shifting the way they look at the world. And so I think this has a lot to do with what you market. So I have a rule for myself that I will not market things that I feel like are evil, or like that I feel like might make the world a worse place. So I stick with marketing things or working for companies that I feel like are contributing to the world in the right direction. And that's one big advice for you, to always stick with that. And so I really saw marketing as communication. And so expressing ideas and understanding what people need and what people want and what people want to talk about and what I'm interested in talking about and having fun. So that was a big aha moment.
Okay, so let me pause you on that one.
Sure.
So on communication, can you give me some examples of what you mean to understand it better?
Yeah, I have to think how to maybe be more concise on this. Well, I think, you just described what Noveg does, and that's a formal communication. Like, how do I say what Noveg does in like a sentence or two. That's storytelling, that's communication. What kind of image we use to represent a company, what kind of image you use to represent yourself, that is all part of marketing. Marketing is everything you do that communicates to the person in front of you what you do, and what kind of person you are, what kind of company you have.
Okay. So is it fair to say then that the marketing communications that happen need to represent the values and the goals and what you offer as a person? I mean, is that where the communication comes into it?
Yeah, as a person, as a company, if you have a small business and people mostly interface with you, then it's extremely important, from what you wear to how you talk, and whether you meet at your office or at their office, and all of that is marketing.
Okay. So that's number one. The big aha was communication.
Yes. The second one is that it's an ever-changing landscape, and it's a ever-changing profession. I like that. I like challenges. I like the fact that, in a year I will be probably doing something slightly different, and in 10 years I'll probably doing something completely different in marketing. So for me, that was very appealing.
Okay. And let's talk about goal setting. Aurora, what would so at the very beginning when someone decides they want to start doing some promotion and they want to start doing some marketing, how would you say that they get started with that process?
Yeah. So having experience as a business owner doing my own marketing, I have to say, it can be overwhelming. And the biggest hurdles that people always bump against are time and money. It's good to realize that everybody has this problem of time and money, even big companies. So, you can relax right there. We all bump against it. But the trick here is to really be able to focus on what's most important and what will help you the most in your business. So I like to plan backwards. So you want to sort of say, like, have a 1-year plan, right? It all depends on your business, but let's say 1 year. You want to figure out how much money you want to make, how many clients you need to make that money, how many clients or what type of clients you will need to make that money. The more experience you have, the more you're able to have an accurate plan. If you're just starting, then ask around and try something, right? Write something down so you have something to go by. Then once you figure out how much money you want and from how many clients and what type, then you need to figure out where those people are or how you're going to reach them, and how long is the sales cycle. So, for example, for me, like, I was in wedding photography, so my sales cycle was like, it would take a couple of months sometimes for people from when they met me to book me, and they would book people a year ahead to 6 months ahead. So I would plan with that in mind, right? I want to book 2010, then what am I doing in 2009? So it all depends on those variables. Once you have those down, you plan your marketing based on those goals.
Okay, so say for instance, we can just use myself as an example.
Sure.
I would say I have probably a sales cycle that's anywhere from a year to 18 months. So I would just figure out, and I know how much my clients would be worth. I know how much money I want to make. So I know how many clients. So I work backwards from there. So what you're saying is that if I know my sales cycles is a year to 18 months, basically, the plan I start implementing today, I'll start to see results in about a year.
Yes, a year to 18 months.
Yeah.
So now you have to keep reviewing, what you're doing and your goals, because things shift, right? Especially when you have a long sales cycle, but you kind of want to keep those in mind all the time. Post them on the wall, post them on your computer, right? Keep focused on that. So, okay, so let's say you have a year, 18-month cycle. Then you need to figure out how people hear from you and how people book you. If you don't know at all, it's very easy to just have an Excel spreadsheet or a spreadsheet, and you sort of write when they first contacting you and how they found you. Was it word of mouth? If it was word of mouth, from who? Is it your friends? Is it other people you work with? Is it, their friends that found you online? You want to be very specific. As you keep track of this, you're gonna start to see